This morning's scripture comes from Mark chapter 1, verses 1 through 8. Beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. As it is written in the prophet Isaiah, "See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way. The voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his path straight." John the Baptizer appeared in the wilderness, proclaiming a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins. And people from the whole Judean countryside and all the people of Jerusalem were going out to him and were baptized by him in the river Jordan, confessing their sins. Now, John was clothed with camel's hair and with a leather belt around his waist, and he ate locusts and wild honey. He proclaimed, "The one who is more powerful than I is coming after me. I am not worthy to stoop down and untie the thong of his sandals. I have baptized you with water, but he will baptize you with the Holy Spirit." This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Pray with me, if you would, please. God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. So his audience knew something's going on. And then, here in these 8 verses, we have, of all things, John the Baptizer's fashion choices. It takes a whole verse 6, to talk about how he was clothed with camel's hair and a leather belt around his waist, which is a nice accessory. And then he ate locusts and wild honey, which is just gross. And that might, again, not seem like the most crucial information to us, but what I can tell you is almost certainly it reminded them of a particular prophet in the Old Testament, perhaps the most important prophet of the Old Testament, Elijah, who just so happened to wear pretty much the same wardrobe. And there just so happened to be a little rumor, found partly in the scriptures and partly just on the streets of Jerusalem during this time, that Elijah would come again. And when Elijah would come again, he would be preparing the way for the particular audience. And then we know that John, who was a local celebrity, I mean, a big name at the time, but pulled in some pretty serious crowds, he describes this person that's coming after him as so important that John is not even worthy to untie his sandals or offer him any advice on footwear based on his own choices of fashion. The fact is this: Mark seems to think that we got a pretty big thing that's about to happen. And so I gotta wonder, is this ominous? Is it scary? Should we be biting our nails with this audience, this person who's coming? Is it going to be thunderous and scary? Or is this pure excitement? Is this Messiah, this person who is coming, like everything's going to be better? Everything is going to be better. Anybody who's having a hard time is going to have a good time, and we'll be prettier and jump faster. No, let's run faster and jump higher, and whatever, things will be better. So, is it scary? Is it good? Is it bad? What do we see? That is the question I found myself asking myself. Could have done that sentence better. And I think it's because we're trained to think in this sort of binary way. It's either this or it's this. And that is how we have been trained to dumb things down. One of my favorite Jon Stewart bits ever is just a montage of CNN interviews where these anchors have invited these brilliant people to explain really, really complicated, nuanced things, okay? And they'll be in the middle, in the throes of explaining all of the nuances of this and the world forces, and then the economic, and the anchor will stop them and go, okay, so good or bad? Good or bad? Okay, so what you're saying is, let me just stop you there, good or bad? Well, there's these economic forces, and this company came in and they created something too big, but then, it really helped out. Good or bad? Good or bad? And there's like 50 examples of somebody trying to explain something that is very complicated and being interrupted to be asked, good or bad? And that's what I found myself doing with this passage. Because I think we do this with Jesus. I think we do this with all of Scripture. I have heard most of my life, Jesus was a carpenter. He was a tough guy. He had tough hands. I see Pat going down carpenter, right? Not like Jesus. Jesus took those tough hands, flipped over tables, started fights. Jesus. I've been told that my whole life. I've heard that. But do you know what's funny? Yeah. What's funny is there's a lot of truth in all that. There really, really is. To say and do the things that Jesus did and said took an enormous level of bravery. To choose the life that Jesus chose required some serious mental and physical toughness. I don't think there's any denying that. No, says someone else throughout my life. Jesus said, let the children come unto me. He said, love your enemies. Jesus said those who live by the sword will die by the sword. Jesus was gentle and snuggly, like the bears in the Charmin commercial. You know which ones? Am I alone on that? Okay. Well, they're very snuggly and they're like Jesus. And you know what? There's a lot of truth in that too. Jesus was radically kind, often to the very ones that nobody else would ever be apt to be kind to. He was apparently very approachable to the very people who didn't feel welcome or like they could approach many folks, people that we would call the least of these. So, this coming Messiah that Mark is talking about, good or bad? Good or bad? What do we think? This might help. This quote, this Old Testament prophet quote. He says, Mark says here in verse 2, as it is written in the prophet Isaiah, which is true, but it's actually two prophets who are being quoted. It is Isaiah, but it's a combo quote. It's also Malachi, or Malachi, depending on where you're from. And Isaiah Isaiah is this passage about preparing the way for God. And God is coming to restore all things. And you have been in exile and prepare the way home to Jerusalem. God is going to lift up the low places and bring down the high and powerful places. God is coming to help. But Malachi, this other part of the quote here, is about God coming in judgment to set matters straight for people who have ignored one another too long. Who can endure the day of God's coming, this says. God will be like the refiner's fire. And I think these moments by the Jordan River would have been similarly mixed. There's so much excitement going on. There's the speaker who is saying new things, and it's really exciting. And there is so much freedom that comes with repentance, which is exactly what John preached. There's something beautiful and freeing about taking off the old mindset, the mindset that enslaved you, the mindset of hatred and anger and jealousy and lust and greed, that mindset that binds us up, to take that off and to put on a new mindset, repentance, where there is grace and love and freedom to live like we were designed to live. So it would have been a very exciting day, but there were some other things going on by the Jordan River that day. The thing is this full immersion baptism thing, that was a thing that some people did. It was almost always Gentiles who were becoming Jewish. And that was a big statement. So, for a Jewish audience to say, I would like to be baptized, was potentially a pretty offensive statement to the other people they went to synagogue with. Now, it wasn't like John was preaching some new religion and he was saying, come be part of Christianity. Christianity wasn't even invented yet. But there was something apparently so drastic and so new that these people felt the need to be baptized. It was as if John was saying, everyone must come to God on the same terms. Even when it's hard. Good or bad? Good or bad? Debbie and I, some of you may know, are preparing for our son, Liam. And we are so excited. I think Debbie is especially excited to have this baby. And we are so scared. So we prepare as best we can, every day. While everyone informs us on a very regular basis, we will never be ready. And I hear you, it's probably very true. But we prepare as best we can, every day. This Advent season is about our anticipation for the Christ child. And for what it means that God would bother to walk among us on this earth, and so we wait. And we prepare. And that is not a passive thing. So if you would repeat after me. Prepare.
Prepare.
Prepare the way.
Prepare the way.
Prepare the way of the Lord.
Prepare the way of the Lord.
The last one more time. Prepare the way of the Lord.
Prepare the way of the Lord.
My challenge to you is to begin, before you even get out of bed, and begin this week with those words. So the first 5 minutes of your day be spent dwelling on what it means to prepare the way, to prepare the way of the Lord. As we wait in anticipation for Emmanuel, God with us, we will never be ready. There is no telling what a life with Jesus will do to our plans, but we can prepare.